What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 4, Episode 11. So, we started this episode off with Tiffany talking to her adoptive parents about the fact that she's looking for her father. And, you know, y'all know, Tiffany is not my favorite person on the show, and so I'm trying to be very empathetic in this scenario. I definitely understand where she's coming from as, you know, you walk the tightrope. I mean, I'm not adopted, but I have friends who were adopted. And you walk that tightrope in the sense that you love the people that chose to be your family. They chose you and they raised you and they gave you a good life. And so you never want them to feel any kind of way. You never want them to feel disrespected. You never want them to feel like you're going to push them aside for your biological family. But there's always that yearning for most people, not everybody, but for most people who have been adopted, there's that yearning to find your quote your biological family. And so she's talking to her parents to let them know that she is going to be looking for her father. Now, she did find her mom, and her mother told her, listen, girl, go for it. Do what you do. Her father said, you know, honestly, I felt some kind of way when you were looking for your parents the first time, because I felt like you were going to push us aside when you found your biological family. He said, but I understand now, and I don't feel that way, and do what you got to do, you know. He said, you still going to be my angel face. And I thought that was a moment. I thought that was a sweet, sweet moment. I'm going to just go ahead and knock them out the way. So later on in the episode, we see her and Melody going to Utah, Alabama. Listen, I thought they was going to Utah, the state, Utah. That lets you know how my dumb ass, listen, I don't know Alabama geography. I thought they were saying UTAH, not EUTAW. Put it in the comments if I'm not the only one when they was talking about going to Utah a couple of episodes ago. Because I even said it. I said, oh, they're going to turn this into a group trip. Because I thought they was going on a plane to Utah. Girl, they went on a road trip down the highway to EUTAW, Utah. Anyway, the school records were destroyed. A lot of the records were destroyed, so they went to the newspaper, which is actually a smart place to start, especially in a small town. Now, let me say this. There's some things I was a little confused with in this whole scenario. Am I the only one? And again, put it in the comments. And I know that I always have to give the benefit of the doubt to editing. So I'm going to put a benefit of the doubt to editing in this moment. But Tiffany kept saying that she was born in 1987. Which I question, but okay. Why did y'all keep talking about the 60s and the 70s? They talked about the school system. First of all, the editor was talking. And let me give kudos to the editor, because I feel like the editor was probably nervous. He didn't want to say the wrong thing, because I'm sure that in the privacy of his own home, he probably still call us colored, okay? So I feel like he was nervous about not saying the wrong thing. But he was like, well, you know, in 1968, when the blacks took over the school system. So the blacks didn't take over the school system. First of all, Roe versus Wade was in 1954. So the fact that y'all got an extra 14 years before y'all had to integrate the schools is a whole nother conversation. Second of all, did I say Brown versus Board of Education or Roe? I said Brown versus Board. Anyway, I thought I said another case. Second of all, nobody took over y'all schools in 1968. They integrated the schools. And because y'all's town by your own admission was 70% black, then the schools was going to be 70% black. But he said that when that happened, when the blacks took over the schools, basically all the whites pulled out of school and they started private schools, which that happened in a lot of places. That is not unique to Alabama. I don't want nobody thinking, oh my gosh, child, that happened everywhere. The white people didn't want their kids to go to school with the black people. And listen, let me just give y'all a short little history lesson for those who want to receive this. It's always been about the haves and the have-nots. Let's be clear. So let me put a caveat in that period there. The rich white parents who could afford to send their kids to private school pulled their kids out. The poor white kids was probably, I can't say for certain because I don't know the whole history of that particular county, but the poor ones was probably still in that school with the black kids. I'm just saying. Moving on. So, he said, you know, in the 70s, because again, if you were born in 87, I don't know why we talking about the 70s. That's a whole 17 years before you needed to know what was going on. But okay, he was like, well, in 1970, an interracial relationship, because clearly Tiffany is interracial. Her mother's white, her father was black. He said, that could have got somebody lynched. First of all, absolutely, yes. Second of all, Melody and Tiffany, who both grew up in Alabama, why y'all acting like y'all didn't know? Because I grew up in D.C. and I knew that. Why y'all acting like y'all didn't know that was the case? That was a possibility. That was a thing in rural Alabama in the 70s. Hell, it's still a thing now. But I still don't understand why y'all was talking about stuff that happened in 1970 when Tiffany was born in 1987. Now, Tiffany said that her biological mother stopped speaking to her after she gave her the name of the guy that she thought was the daddy, and he ended up not being the daddy. And she said she stopped talking to her. I think she stopped talking to Tiffany because she was probably embarrassed, because she probably was like, oh my gosh, what does my daughter think of me? I already gave her up for adoption. I give her the name of the guy that I thought was the daddy, and come find out he ain't the daddy, which means that he's probably somebody else. She probably know who the other possibility is, or maybe possibilities. I don't know. I ain't judging. But that's probably embarrassing for her. She don't know you like that, So they got some information, but of course they didn't get what they needed. So they started talking to people, which actually wasn't a bad decision. It wasn't a bad idea for them to start talking to people. So they talked to the guy that owned the barbershop. Now, he said he was born and raised in Utah. He'd been there his whole life. And they were like, oh, did you go to high school here? He said, yeah. They said, well, when did you graduate? He was like 69. Again, Tiffany, if you were born in 87, why are you talking to a man who graduated from high school in 1969? The likelihood that he knew your mama should have been slim. But you showed him the picture of your mama, and he was like, oh yeah, I know her. She used to hang out with the black guys. Her and her friend. Now, I feel like dude down to the barbershop was real nicely trying to tell you your mama was a hoe, and she used to hang out with the black. That's how I felt like he was saying. Now, I could have been wrong. That might not be what that man was saying at all, but I feel like that's what that man was saying. I'm sorry, but I feel like that's what he was trying to say. But he was saying it nicely. So neither here nor there. All they left with knowing that Tiffany mama had a partner in crime, and they hung out with the black guys, and that when Tiffany mama got pregnant with, he was like, and when I knew your mama, she was pregnant. That's all the more reason for you to question a timeline. And again, that could have been edited out. But my first question would have been, well, what year was this? If you graduated in 69, what year was this? Because, I mean, was your mama in her 30s when she had you? Anyway, moving on. The next, the other part of the thing was when they were driving down, they were having a conversation about Tiffany having a baby. And Melody was so interested in the conversation, she fell asleep. But basically, Melody was trying to tell you, girl, if your husband is already telling you that you don't have time for him and y'all don't have time for a baby, take heed and listen, because take it from somebody who's been there, done that, understand, got the postcard and the book and the divorce to show. If your husband is telling you he's not getting what he needs and he's not getting enough time, and having a baby right now may not be the best idea because it ain't going to help y'all situation. And Tiffany was like, well, I don't know what else he want. I mean, he's getting head, and I felt like that was a dig at Melody, because we know that Martell was telling anybody who would listen that the reason why he cheated on Melody is because he wasn't getting no head. So I feel like that was a little dig at Melody, okay? She was like, well, he getting head and ass whenever he wanted. So what else? What else could he possibly want? Well, clearly he want more, and that's a conversation y'all need to have, other than you worried about having a baby. Moving on. Marceau and Tisha drive down to Bessemer to go and check out this food truck for Miss Wanda. Now listen, I am not dragging this out because I feel like this took up way too much of the episode. At the end of the day, look, Miss Wanda want them to invest $40,000 into this food truck that don't even run. And Marceau's thing was, he was trying to explain to Tisha was, look, the interior of the truck I don't have a problem with, because she was like, we flip houses, Marceau. Why are you acting like the truck not running is a big deal? I mean, the truck being in, disarray is a big deal. He said, listen, he said, the interior is not my problem. we can do this. We can set this up and make it do what it do. He said, my problem is the truck don't run. The engine is shot, which means that we have to put a whole new engine in a 30-year-old food truck. And so when he asked the guy what the estimate was, and the guy was like $40,000. First of all, y'all already know that $40,000 is gonna be $55,000 by the time they get done. That's number one. Number two, Marceau was like, I'm just not understanding. He said, are we giving you your mom this money, or are we loaning it? And Tisha, at least Tisha was honest and was like, we giving, because ain't no way in the world we're going to expect her to pay us back no $40,000. And he was like, listen, right now we'd be better off throwing that money out the window, because this is just not the answer. And Tisha was trying to talk to him. This is my mom, and she's trying, and I think she can do it, and we have the financial means, and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, you do know how mean your mom is to me, right? Like, you do know how your mama treats me, and now you expect me to do what for your mother? And she was like, what are you talking about? I mean, you still friends with Martell, and Martell tried to tear up our family. He was like, your mama did too. And she was like, nobody was questioning our marriage until Martell made them comments about the 40, 50 women, all the girlfriends or whatever. And of course, y'all know they gave us the flashback. And in all reality, Letitia is not wrong in that aspect. Up until that point, nobody was really paying attention to Letitia or Marceau's marriage. We were more focused on the fact that Tisha wanted to work and Marceau wanted her to stay at home, and we was calling him, you know, a male chauvinistic pig. That's what we was really focused on. We really wasn't focused too much on the fidelity part of their marriage. But your mama has not helped Tisha. Let's be clear. And Marceau, you know, Marceau was like, do I have to remind you about her showing you those pictures and you coming up, you know, up on my job questioning me? And so she was like, listen, I ain't got time to keep going back and forth with you. Are you going to do it or not? And he was like, well, if you asking me now and you making me make a decision now, the answer is no. Because this ain't how I do business. And if you're forcing me to give you an answer in this moment, the answer for me is no. So y'all know Tisha wasn't trying to hear that, honey. Tisha was not trying to hear that. She was not happy about that. Okay. We find out that Miss Wanda is having like a dinner where she can give everybody a taste. She's got her menu. She's doing her baked potatoes. I feel like this is where we got those pictures from. I feel like this is the event that people posted the pictures that we showed y'all of the different potatoes. I feel like this might be where we got those pictures. But anyway, we find, you know, Tisha's family is there. And for the most part, I mean, one or two people seemed like they was cool with Marceau, but for the most part, they looked like they was really ready to jump on Marceau, and they've been waiting to jump on Marceau. And I'm sure that the camera crew being there didn't hurt the fact that they was ready to jump on Marceau. Now, you had Cousin, who Marceau was like, I don't even know who he related to. I don't know whose son he is. I don't know who his mama and daddy, like, I don't know. But of course, he came at Marceau hard, talking about, you said we was from the other side of the tracks, and you just a controlling freak, and you cheat. You need to go on and give Wanda the money for this truck, and da-da-da-da-da. And I just felt like he was waiting for his moment. Marceau said that he was the male version of Wanda, and he really seemed like he was. Like, I just felt like he was waiting. We saw Tisha's little brother, who, excuse me, he gonna work on the food truck, and Tisha's other cousin gonna work on the food truck too. Now, we found out that Tisha's brother, who was going through a divorce, done got his new girlfriend pregnant. And now he's telling everybody, after she told him she didn't want nobody to know, but he is telling everybody, okay, that, and Wanda told him, listen, bro, you on your own. You already have 2 kids, and you got a wife that you still trying to get rid of, and now you gonna bring another baby into this? Oh, baby, you on your own. He was like, yeah, that's why I really need this food truck to work. I need the food truck to work. She was like, you need more than a food truck. You got 3 children. Then we found out Tisha's other cousin, she going through a divorce too. She asked Tisha how her marriage was going. Tisha said, but child, we go through our ups and our downs, but we here, we good, we making it happen. And she was like, well, you know, I'm going through a divorce. Oh, girl, no. Oh my gosh, no. When Tisha's brother told Tisha that he had a baby on the way, Tisha asked him, y'all not using no birth control or nothing? And he told me something, that's old fashioned. She said HIV is not old old fashioned. Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, first of all, forget about HIV, sir. If you didn't want another child, how about you use some damn birth control? Anyway, so then by the end of this whole, well, not the end, but while they was waiting for the food to be ready, I guess, basically all of them ended up jumping on Marceau about the rumors about whether Marceau was cheating or not, yada yada yada. And they told Marceau the same thing that everybody else tells Marceau. If you would just answer the questions with a straight answer, you would alleviate a whole lot of the BS that you deal with. And you know what? I finally get it. And we see the previews for next week, but I finally get what the problem is with Marceau. Marceau's thing is, you shouldn't have to ask me. You should just know. You shouldn't have to ask me whether I'm cheating. You shouldn't have to ask me to clarify something. You shouldn't have to ask me to justify or defend something, because it never. If you are insistent upon something being wrong, then it's gonna be wrong, and there's really nothing that I can say. Now, I still don't think that that's okay, because I feel like if your wife is asking for you to support her and show her, then that's what you need to do. Like, I don't agree with that, but I hear what Marceau is saying. So we sit down to have dinner, and everybody talking about how good the food is. Now, Stormy say the food ain't good, but neither here nor there. Everybody talking about how good the food is, honey. And then who come walking in the door? Kiki. Child, and that's where they ended it. So we'll see next week where they pick up and what happens between her and Kiki, child. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.